Hi. We just finished meeting for pronunciation practice on Monday, October 4th. And let's get started with a nice, short, easy word compared to some of the others that we've started off with recently. Joy. And oi is the movement from o being very low, o, all the way up to e. So your lips start rounded, oi, and end unrounded, and your tongue starts more flat, o, low in the mouth, and rises to the e, oi. So after the j, which you need to stop the airflow, j, joy, joy. And the letter J is pronounced just like a guy's name, J. The vowel that goes with it, if you're spelling something, like how do you spell joy? It's Joy. Flexible. So the X here looks like an X, but sounds like a K and an S. Flex. So you have to put your tongue in the K position and stop the airflow. Flex. Flexible. And if you're saying the letter S, the vowel that goes before it is like yes. So if your jaw is too open, instead of where the jaw's kind of mostly closed, the tongue's pretty flat, yes. Most people can say yes pretty easily. Take off the Y, S, and that's the vowel you want. If it sounds like ass, then your jaw is too open. But ass, S. Keep your jaw higher. S. Um, Anxiety. Ang. Xi. Now the letter X sounds like a Z. Anxiety. After I had just said that usually the letter X at the in the middle of words will sound like a K and an S, or at the end of words like a K and an S, like box. But at the beginning of words, it will sound like a Z, like xenophobia. But then here's a really good example of it's in the middle of the word and it sounds like a Z, anxiety. And this one is in the middle of the word, but anxious. Maybe you can go to the K position, ank, but you're not really releasing ank. You're just holding it there, anxious. So it's not a Z or a KS really. Executive. So this could be, you see it in the dictionary both ways, spelled with EG, like egg, or EK, ek. But you're not going to release it. I should put that little mark there. So don't release the G or the K. You're putting your tongue in that position, which is the same position for G and K, executive. Or you can say you, executive. Executive. Makes. The vowel is A, like hey. So you have to rise. Your tongue goes A. Makes. And it ends with a voiceless sound K, make. So forget about the silent E. So it looks like an S and it sounds like an S. But in the word dries, the S looks like an S but sounds like a Z because the last sound in the word dry is a vowel, I, and all vowels are voiced. So I call it the cat and dog rule, cats and dogs. So if the last sound in the word, forgetting about silent letters like E's, cat, no vibration in the throat. You hear it, but you don't feel the throat. Cat. So then it looks like an S, it sounds like an S. Cats, because S is voiceless. If it's dog, g, g, there's vibration in the throat. So when you have your voice on and you leave your voice on, the S will change to a Z. Dogs, dogs, cats, dogs. And then there's more. Does it end in the same place? So that's the easy one. That's the easy one. Upset. And you don't have to release the T unless there's a word after it. I was upset all day. Then you would hear it. But just by itself, don't make me upset. Hold the tongue. Go. Sometimes I spell the O for American English with an OU because it's more similar to the phonetic symbol of OU. O. So you're not just saying O, but O. Your jaw is more low. The tongue is starting lower in the middle and rising up in the back. Go. Go home or phone home, not phone home or go home. That's o. Go home. Probably. You can have 3 syllables. Probably. 1, 2, 3. Or you can make it shorter and have 2 syllables. Probably. The same stress. Probably. Acupressure. Acupressure. And that brought up the conversation about acupuncture and my sore back and doing yoga with Adrian. And I love this yoga. So if you're not into it, you think maybe it's not something you would enjoy, give yoga with Adrian a try because she makes it enjoyable. And alternative. 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 What are the alternatives? What are? This T will change to a D because it's between 2 vowels. What are? Exhilaration. I should put a mark there because you don't release the K here either. Exhilaration. Had to think about where's the stress. Exhilaration. And it does sound very similar to acceleration. And I'm kind of overdoing the ac at the beginning, but most of the time, because ac and ek are not stressed, it's just going to sound like exhilaration, acceleration. So they will sound very similar. This one has a Z, exil, and this one has an S, excel. Acceleration is the speed. Occur, occur. Inevitably, inevitably. And it made me think, I never say this word. And I think it's because instead of saying inevitably, every time I want to ride my bike, it rains. I usually say it never fails. Every time I want to ride my bike, it rains. So it's that same expression, it never fails, is what I use instead of inevitably. But as I've learned from doing these meetups, I need to expand my vocabulary and use more words, more variety. Caused. I spelled it K-A-H to remind you that it's like awesome. Caused. And this D sounds like a D because the last sound in the word cause is a voiced Z. And there's some we didn't get to, and there's some we did. I'm going to add the ones we didn't get to the next Monday meetup, which will be the 18th, because next Monday is the 11th, and it's Columbus Day and Boston Marathon. So it's a holiday. Everybody in Boston will have off. And hopefully, if you're in other places in the country, you'll have off for Columbus Day. And I don't know if it's still called that everywhere, but maybe you'll have it off. Party. We did some of these. Party. Mardi. Unless you're in Boston, then it's Mardi. Hoagie. This is an O. Hoagie. And it means the long sandwich bread, which can also be called a sub or a grinder. I didn't put the vowels here. Mardi, and ho, like home. And then I was just using this line to describe how the letter G can sound like G. So when you see me use the G in the column B, what does it sound like? I will always use the letter G to represent G. Because in regular spelling, the G can sound like G or it can sound like J. But the letter J can only sound like J. So in real life, you have choices. The G can sound like G, like go, or J, like Jim. But in my world, in column B, I'm spelling it the way that it sounds. I will always use J for J. And then I realized, there are some other sounds that the letter G can make. If it's a word from French, sometimes we use the J. So you can say garage or garage. And the word genre looks like a G, but we make it a J. And Adrian, that was the name of the Yoga with Adrian. All right. If you came, thank you, and I hope to see you another Monday or next tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday for intonation. Thanks. Have a good evening.